So, how much will your salary buy you in the two countries, Sweden and the USA? In the US, the median income for men was $45,000 in 2007. Subtracting $10,880 in federal taxes, that leaves $34,120. In Sweden, the median income for men is 336,000 crowns. Subtracting 103,320 in income taxes, that leaves 232,680 crowns. Kermit the Frog has decided he's going to buy a Panasonic Viera 50-inch TV set and is curious how many he can afford in the two respective countries. In the US, Kermit has $34,120 to spend, and at Newegg he finds it costs $1,600. So after leaving the supermarket, American Kermit finds he can walk home with no less than 21 TV sets, able to enjoy all the entertainment the networks have to offer. In Sweden, Kermit has 232,680 crowns to spend, and at the price browser site PriceRunner he finds the cheapest one is 19,790 crowns. So Swedish Kermit only affords 11 TV sets with his salary. On the bright side, he's not going to watch the state TV at all, so he won't need all the sets. As is always the case with socialized healthcare, Sweden suffers from very long waiting lines for care. Swedes usually have to wait several months before they get their operations, in many cases even years. A recent report found that almost 1/3 of the patients have to wait more than 3 months to get care. My part of the country is unfortunately the one with the longest lines. 38% had to wait at least 3 months for an operation, and 45% had to wait at least 3 months for a specialist visit. Last year I entered this line for an ingrown toenail and had to wait no less than 6 months. If you're looking to get a diagnosis for a mental or behavioral disorder through the public psychiatry, expect to wait years in line. One blogger reports having had to wait 5 years to get diagnosed, and that in the Swedish city of Gothenburg you can't get diagnosed if you're over 35 years old. Unfortunately, getting a diagnosis is required to get approved for psychiatric drugs like for example Ritalin, so this bottleneck can be quite problematic. Some services by the public sector are very costly for the taxpayers. Government foster care homes average 3,700 crowns per day or $450. In a year, that becomes 1.3 million crowns or $170,000. In one town, the costs for foster care reached the astronomical sum of 17,000 crowns per child per day or $2,150. All in all, foster care costs Sweden roughly 12 billion crowns per year or $1.5 billion. The American foster care system is estimated to cost a little less than $10 billion a year, in spite of the US economy being 40 times larger. Hence, Sweden spends 6 times as much per person on foster care as the US does. Numbers for US costs are harder to come by, though the average placement appears to cost roughly $30,000 per year, to be compared with Sweden's $170,000. In Sweden, the government pays for addiction treatment, which costs 5 billion crowns per year. Per person and day, this care averages 2,200 crowns or $270. In some towns, the care reaches simply absurd costs. In Mönsterås, it costs 26,500 crowns per person and day, or $3,300. The government can even pay for treatment of Coca-Cola addiction if needed. In January of this year, a woman was able to get herself this care after a court battle. Another cost that's very high is of course the $300 a day per prison inmate, probably the highest in the world, several times higher than the US costs. The prison system costs almost 7 billion crowns a year, something that could be only 1 billion if the cheapest methods available were used. The Swedish Employment Office costs over 60 billion crowns a year, yet achieves very little. In spite of this massive funding, Sweden now has the highest youth unemployment rate in the EU, among the highest in the world at 24.3% in March of 2009. The Employment Office is notorious for tying up people in programs that don't lead anywhere, and the officers don't see much potential in their clients. In fact, quite often they attempt to sign up normal clients for programs intended for mentally retarded people, such as the protected workshop Samhall. The Social Democrats have been accused of putting people into this company to mask unemployment and at the same time provide work for public employees. Running Samhall costs over 4 billion crowns per year, yet it falls very short of its goal of getting the clients out into the labor market. Over 1,000 people a year are sent to Samhall, yet every year only 1% of the people in this company move to a regular, unsupported employment. Another costly program is LSS, the special services provided for people with certain disabilities, mainly people on the autism spectrum. This program costs 40 billion crowns per year. Its purpose is actually to attempt to get disabled people into real employment, yet this program as well fails miserably. The people running this program have nothing but failure to report. Here is stated that for the last 5 years, more than half of the country's municipalities have not been able to move anyone to paid employment of any kind. You have to give credit to the people writing this report that they are at least being honest. Here they admit that the goal of the program isn't being achieved. Something that makes all employment of any kind in Sweden hard is the fact that Sweden has the highest labor costs in the world, which might be why the number of private jobs has remained the same since the late 1930s, while the population has grown by over 2 million. Foreign aid costs a lot too, 28 billion crowns. And as is always the case in Sweden, naturally the government never forgets about the so important LGBT rights in this area either.